Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for our 6 o'clock meeting on the 15th of Mayor Events. I never remember the name of the group. Ceremonial Committee. Thank you for joining us. Can I ask those that aren't speaking, please put their microphones on mute, if that's okay. Thank you. So do we have apologies for absence, please, Charles?
Yes, Madam Chairman, from the Mayor, Councillors Cleave, Taylor and Wall.
Thank you. 2 on the agenda, declarations of interest on items on the agenda. Do we have any declarations of interest?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a declaration of interest, please, on item 7.2, as I do sit on the Christmas Lights Committee, so I do have an interest there. It is a non-pecuniary interest.
Thank you, Councillor Alcock. And the same applies to me, Charles. I am also on the Christmas Lights Committee. So it's a non-pecuniary interest. To receive written requests for dispensation for disclosable pecuniary interest, I haven't received any. And to grant any requests for dispensation, again, I haven't received any. Councillor Warren Howes is in the waiting room. If someone could let her in, please. Public participation, I have had no notification of any public. And if we can go on to approve the draft open minutes of the meetings of the Mayoral Civic, Ceremonial and Events Committee held on the 21st of July 2020. Has everyone read? And do I have a proposal for approval of the minutes, please? Councillor Curtis, thank you. Do I have a seconder for the minutes? Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie. Okay, before I go on to the Town Clerk's open report, I would like to suggest that 7.2, the alternative arrangements for the Christmas lights switch on, goes into confidential. And if you bear with me while I read out that in view of the confidential nature of the business to be transacted during the remainder of the meeting pursuant to the Public Bodies Act 1960, any members of the press or public present be excluded and instructed to withdraw. The nature of the business is confidential and sensitive. May I have your approval that we move that to the end of the agenda, please, 7.2. Thank you very much. So let us start with 7.1 to consider and approve the proposed arrangements for Remembrance Sunday. Has everyone read the report? And do I have any questions on that report? Any comments on that report? Councillor Alcock.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I just ask, whose responsibility will it be for the numbers of veterans coming into the Remembrance Garden? Will that be down to our invites, or will that be down to the Royal British Legion themselves on who is invited? Or my concern is who isn't. That is a concern I do have, is making sure that the veteran themselves have a place in the Garden of Remembrance. But I wasn't sure if that was us or that's down to down to Royal British Legion.
So Charles, are you able to answer that?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. Currently, because of restriction on numbers, we're limiting those in the garden who will occupy the various pods that are marked out on the plan to a maximum of 4 per pod, which would allow them to be socially distanced, not obviously just in the pod, but away from other groups as well. The Royal British Legion have a pod in which 4 people can go, but that is the only provision that has been made.
Councillor Alcock.
Sorry, Madam Chair. Thank you, Civic Officer. Just following on from that, obviously we received this report before the changes in the government guideline came in. And so my next question was, are we going to have to change this again to fit in with the government guidelines of no more than 6 can gather? And where we are outside, but I've tried to figure it out reading the government guidelines, and I'm sure you'll all agree with me, it doesn't exactly make it clear.
No.
So I thought I would just raise the question today to see whether we're looking at this again to fit in with the new government guidelines of a maximum of 6 people.
I think, Town Clerk, do you have a response to that?
Yes, I do. Forgive me. My husband is playing the piano and I haven't brought my earphones. No, we need not look at it again. In fact, Richard and Charles and I met on Monday to discuss it all. Peter, can you just stop, please? Because we have got pods of 4 and that they are socially distanced and we are organising this event, we're actually allowed to have more people gather, providing it's COVID safe. And with the help of Richard, etc., we feel confident that we will be COVID safe. These pods will be very, very regulated and regimented. People will not be allowed to move around. Charles will be, at the end of the ceremony, everybody will just have to stand still and he will invite a pod to leave the garden, etc., and a pod to come into the garden. And that's one of the reasons why everything is 4. We've gone below the 6 just in case it's reduced. So we feel pretty confident over it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
May I ask a question? I assume there'll be no parade from the councillors. So may I ask why we are closing the road from Church Street down?
Because obviously we have a great deal of control over the numbers within the Garden of Remembrance, but conversely, we have no control whatsoever over who may gather outside. And simply on a matter of health and safety, we have to give them a large enough area in which they can socially distance if they so wish, where they won't get flattened by traffic. And obviously to bring cars from the prep school all the way down to College Street to find then that they've got to turn around and go back is nonsensical. So it is better to close the road on that junction of Church Street, Chestnut Walk, Old Town. But we have decided to keep the road open along Southern Lane and Waterside so that any vehicles coming that way will be able to turn towards Holy Trinity Church and go around the loop and then exit via Sanctus Street back onto the Evesham Road.
Okay, so can I be clear, the people leaving the town hall that morning will be the mayor, the mayoress and the town clerk and Peter, is that correct? No one else? I mean, obviously Charles will be on duty in the Garden of Remembrance, is that right?
That is correct. There is no parade from the town hall.
Okay.
People are being invited to assemble outside the garden, hopefully gathering their little group with them. We will then bring them in, offer them obviously sanitizer for their hands. We'll escort them to their designated pod, and hopefully all those within the garden will be in position by 10:50 at the very, very latest.
So one more question from me. Sorry, I just want to get this very clear in my head. If any town councillors wish to attend, is that okay? Will they have to fall in with members of the public, or
Yes.
can they be robed?
No,
No robes.
on this occasion, I think the only possible way to deal with it is that any members of the town council will have to gather outside in obviously appropriate blocks along with members of the public.
Thank you. Sarah?
This is one of the reasons really where we're saying very, very strictly with regards to numbers. There's no processions, there's no march past, there's nothing like that. And so consequently, even the mayor is not being asked to go fully robed, because then it would be the mace bearers and the beadle, etc., etc. But that is why we're asking this council, this committee, to agree that the service can be screened so that everybody can actually watch it and hear it, even if they're not actually physically present.
Thank you. Councillor Warren-Howes?
Thank you, Chair. Looking at the plans, I didn't see there was a position for the bugler. Do we have a bugler this year?
We do.
Okay.
Initially, we hadn't quite got that far, but initially, if you look at your plan, there is, or was on the plan that you received, a little green circle above the First World War memorial that said on it last post.
Oh, sorry.
The position of the bugler. But now one of the things, apart from obviously agreeing the principle of the event, that this committee is going to be asked to also approve is an expenditure of £210 for providing all the sound equipment and the technician, and £260 for the video streaming, that's the camera and everything, and obviously the person to operate it. So that is something that I wish to put forward as a proposal, which I hope that the committee will feel able to support.
Councillor Alcock?
I was going to propose that, Madam Mayor. I'd like to propose that we agree to the screening of the Remembrance Day service in the garden, and also propose that we go ahead with the costs associated with that.
Do I have a seconder for that proposal? Councillor Warren-Howes, thank you. Before we go to vote on that proposal, can I ask one thing about the screening? Is it going to be, is it going on YouTube, or is it going on the town council website?
The town clerk will answer that. I believe.
Sarah? Could you unmute yourself, Sarah, please? Thank you.
Dudley Simpson is doing it for us, and I believe it is going on YouTube and Facebook, I believe, like Zoom.
And it will be live?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. So,
Please, Madam
Civic
Chairman.
Officer, do I have to, I mean, we've got the approval of the screening and the sound equipment. Do we need another proposal for the proposed arrangements, or can we incorporate that within the proposed arrangements?
I would think you can incorporate it as one.
Thank you.
Could I, Madam Chairman, sorry
sure.
to interrupt you, could I just now answer Councillor Warren-Howes's original question, that where the last post was originally shown is where the camera will go, which will obviously give the best view of the memorials and everything else. And although not on this particular plan, I had to think of another place to bring the bugler in at the right moment. And I am suggesting, subject of course to this meeting's approval, that at the appropriate time, the bugler walks along the gravel path, stands on the bottom step immediately in front of the Second World War memorial, therefore in front of everybody, and does the last post from there. Because either side will be the Royal British Legion branch standard and the Union flag, which of course will then be dipped. So it should look, I believe, impressive. If you agree, of course.
Do we have any comments on that? I personally think that's a brilliant idea, but if we have anybody, no? Okay. So unless there's any other comments on the proposed arrangements, Councillor Alcott, you proposed, are you happy to sort of slightly change your proposal to consider the new arrangements for the entire event?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to propose that we accept the new arrangements as they've been set out for us very helpfully by the civic officer, and we accept the associated costs that go with that.
Thank you. And Councillor Warren-House, you seconded that. You're happy with that, are you? Can I have all those in favour, please? I think that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you. As I say, 7.2 is going into confidential, so we go on to 7.3 to receive and note the report regarding VJ Day. Now, you were all sent the statistics that Charles helpfully sent. I was staggered at the views on that. I mean, I thought it was pretty good on VE Day, but VJ Day, I mean, I just thought it was marvelous. What I particularly liked was the poetry, and particularly Councillor Warren-House poem. It was beautiful, but there were some wonderful poetry readings, very, very moving. And I do we have any comments on the VJ celebrations, Councillor Alcock?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes, I actually had a lovely comment from a friend of mine, associate, who works very closely with dementia patients, who said that they enjoyed watching it and they've continued to enjoy watching it. So actually the views, as staggeringly successful as they were, are only going to go up. And I just think what a wonderful wonderful idea to have it live, to have it streamed, and to have it there for people to continue to enjoy.
Yeah.
Not just this year, for many years to come. It's a teaching piece for children. It's something that actually everybody involved needs to be very, very proud of. And yes, Councillor Warren-House, your poem was beautiful.
Councillor Curtis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, just purely on a personal note, my father was in Burma from very early 1940 until 1946. So I was really pleased to see this tribute. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. It does say on the bottom of the report that the Town Council wishes to place on record sincere thanks to Karen Williams, Neve Oldham from Escape Arts, Penny Caton Hooks from Welcome Radio. Could I ask the civic officer to pass those thanks on for a very, very moving and enjoyable event, and to thank them sincerely from us as the Town Council. Thank you. 7.4 to receive an update of the commemorative tree and container and approve the wording for the plaque. Do we have any comments? The only comment I have is obviously nothing will go in until the scaffolding is down. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Can I ask for approval of the wording? I'm going to be honest, it seemed very wordy.
Yeah.
Have we got, how big is this plaque? I'm wondering if perhaps we could rethink the wording to perhaps make it slightly shorter. Councillor Warren-House.
Thanks, Chair. I think it's important to actually include the wording about the tree planting initiative by yourself. I think that's quite an important piece to actually have it. I agree, maybe it's a bit wordy, but I think that's possibly something that should stay in there. Just my comments.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Alcock.
In disagreement, I'm afraid, with Councillor Warren-House. It was the only part of the wording I could see that we could possibly take out, because we do need to say why it's going to be there, as in the 600th anniversary of the foundation. and put there it was by initiative by Councillor Kate Rolfe, and take out the other part. So we're in complete disagreement here, which is very rare for us, I think. Because I do agree, there's a lot of words there, and the words aren't always going to get read. We know this from plaques and things and information we've done before. I do think it does need shortening. And that was the only bit I could see that we could remove, but still keep the important information.
Do we have any other comments? I have to say, I do agree with you, Councillor Alcock. I mean, nobody's going to know what my tree planting initiative was, to be honest with you. Probably nobody does know. They won't know until I give my sort of thank you for being mayor speech. Goodness knows when that will happen, but who knows? I'm just wondering, this holly tree and container were placed here by Councillor Kate Rolfe, Mayor, 2019 to 2020. Can it be as simple as that? What do people think? Councillor Alcock.
Was this done in your mayoral year? Because shouldn't it say Mayor Kate Rolfe? Oh, it does say, sorry, ignore me.
Councillor Kate Rolfe, Mayor in 2019. Yes, it was the initiative.
Yes, yes, it was. Yes. But the holly tree and container were placed here by Councillor Kate Rolfe, Mayor 2019, 2020. I think that would be a good way to finish it.
I see. Councillor Fraggy, did you want to say something? You've raised your hand. Could you unmute yourself, please? Could you thank you.
All I want to, I mean, I'm struggling to get the minutes up. I'm sorry, I just can't get them up at the moment. So I'm talking slightly from the discussion that's taken place, because I read the minutes some time ago. It does say on this tree why it's there, that it's the, what, 100th?
600th.
600th.
Would you like me to read what it says,
Yes,
Councillor
please.
Bradley?
I've been searching to find it, and I'm...
Okay, it says, provided by Stratford-upon-Avon Town Council to commemorate the 600th anniversary of foundation of the Stratford Guildhall in 1420.
Yeah.
This holly tree and container were placed here as part of a tree planting initiative inaugurated by Councillor Kate Rolfe, Mayor, in 2019 to 2020.
That's fine.
So if we, Councillor Curtis.
Just rejigging the wording a bit. If you're not so worried, Kate, about the initiative, if we could say this holly tree and container were placed here by Councillor Kate Rolfe, Mayor of Stratford-upon-Avon, 2019 to 2020, commemorating the 600th anniversary of the foundation of Stratford Guildhall in 1420. It just cuts out quite a few words if you just rejig the sentence a bit.
I kind of like that, because you miss out the provided. Town Clerk, Sarah.
Do we actually need the word container?
No, possibly not.
No, I agree, and I like the revamping of the sentencing from Councillor Curtis. Could you just read that again, please, Councillor Curtis?
This
So
holly
tree container. This
holly tree. Let me just change was to were to was. Then this holly tree was placed here by Councillor Kate Rolfe, Mayor 2019 to 20 of Stratford-upon-Avon. That needs jiggling. I don't
Mayor
know.
of Stratford-upon-Avon 2019 to 2020.
Commemorating the 600th anniversary of the foundation of Stratford Guildhall in 1420.
That sounds perfect to me. Does anyone else have any comments on that?
Shall I email that over to everyone just so you can
Yes, please.
dissect it at your leisure?
Yeah. I'm happy with that. Charles, do we need to have agree that as a proposal, or do we agree that as a revamping of the wording?
Do members feel that they want to consider it further? Because we've got no immediate rush. Would it be best to put it just for final clarification on the November meeting? Having
No,
given Or you
I
quite
don't
happy?
think so. If we're all
Okay.
happy with the wording, let's get it done. Let's get
Okay,
the plaque
fine.
done, and
Okay.
yeah, I'm happy with it. Is everyone happy with that? Thank you. Right. Let's move on to 7.5 to note the additional information from Electric Zoo. I need to get that up on my screen. This could be funny. No, for some reason I can't find it. How I hate this computer. Charles, would you please fill us in on this report while I try and find it online? Thank you.
Yep, I spoke to Councillor Taylor, who has been spearheading the contacts with Electric Zoo. He didn't feel, apart from members just noting it, that there would necessarily be any burning questions coming out, because of course we've already made a decision.
Yes.
I believe that for the foreseeable future we will remain as we are, and therefore this will be in the future, so it would all have to be, obviously figures would have to be updated again.
I think from memory at the last meeting we did ask Councillor Taylor to come back with figures for hiring the vehicle, not
Which is
buying
exactly
the
what
vehicle.
it is.
Which
Yeah.
is exactly what is there. And so can we note that additional information, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you. Jenny, your hand is up. Did you want to say something? Councillor Fradgley? No? Okay, thank you. Item 7.6, to note the information regarding the Stratford Mop Fair. Okay, I think we will have some comments on this. Can I ask, please, those that want to speak? Councillor Curtis, I'm going to start with you because I know that you wish to make a comment on this. So would you like to?
Certainly, thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is a very, very difficult situation. I'm fully aware that the town council is not a decision-making body, and also that if the MOP is allowed to proceed legally, then neither the town, which isn't a decision-making body anyway, nor district, nor anybody else can actually legally prevent it from trading and going ahead. That said, I do think, particularly in the light of the two letters and the editorial comment in the Herald this week or last week, the town council ought, I feel, to issue some type or agree some type of statement outlining its position. We would need, obviously, to agree on what that statement and position is. I have a suggestion, but I feel although, as I say, we're not the decision-making body, I think people do look to, or should anyway, look to the town council for guidance and advice, particularly when it does affect not just the immediate safety, in this instance, of residents in the town centre, but if the fair does attract people from outside the town, residents of Birmingham and other local hotspots, then I think there is the additional danger that we could find ourselves in a very unhelpful position, perhaps facing a local lockdown. So I think we need to consider it carefully, and I do think that the town council ought to issue some type of statement. So that's, thank you, Madam Chair.
Councillor Fradgley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would agree with what Councillor Curtis has said. I've got considerable concerns in the present situation of holding an event in which there would be very little chance to have pods distancing, which we've actually just discussed, which are going to be rigorously enforced at our event. And there might be some people actually slightly worried about that. And if you're going to be slightly worried about where you're going to have 4 people in separate pods, to actually invite the world and his wife to the town to for 2 days, two nights, where I don't know how the sanitizing of the dodgems and all the other fantastic rides will actually be carried out. I just think, and as the government has said, we shouldn't be gathering in more than 6. And I've seen actually evidence on the television in parks, families sitting in groups of 7 and 8 have been approached by the police to point out to them that they're actually breaking the law. It puts people's health in danger, I feel. I have actually seen on Facebook people saying that during the war, the mop was not carried out. I haven't verified this, but there was a story that the mop didn't take place, but a couple of children's rides and a stall were there to ensure that the continuity of the charter was maintained. But I would very much agree with what Councillor Curtis has just said. Very concerned about it.
Councillor Alcock and then Councillor Mackenzie.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes, I'm very pleased that as a town council, the stand was taken that we would cancel the reception that we have always traditionally hosted, and also for the luncheon as well that goes with it. Not being the decision maker in this situation does make things rather complicated. I understand that issuing a statement, I'm just not too sure who the statement would go to. I would be looking instead for guidance and advice to writing to the leader of Stratford District Council and the leader of Warwickshire County Council expressing the concerns of Stratford-upon-Avon Town Council. That I think is possibly the limit of what we as a town council can do in this situation. A civic officer, what would your advice be in that situation? Or Madam Town Clerk, equally, can we write a letter expressing our concern of it going ahead?
I can answer that question. I met, the mayor and I met with the leader of the district council on Monday. And a statement will be issued by the end of this week. I think it's only fair to say that the district council has as many reservations as we do. This is not something that they are taking lightly at all, but there are contractual as well as charter implications, and they've all got to be sorted out. Julie Lewis has said how very complicated it is, but I don't think that either the town council or the district council wish for the mop to go ahead. It's just making sure that it can be stopped properly and legally without us all ending up in court, etc. But I can assure you that in no uncertain terms, we put the stance of the town council across to the leader on Monday. At the very least, and ideally we don't want to see it at all this year, unfortunately, because it's, you know, it's a tradition that's just gone on and on and on. But these are very unprecedented times, and therefore there are being mops cancelled all over the country. And if they can do it, then why can't we? And I do genuinely think it's a question of the district council trying to work it all out.
Thank you. Councillor Mackenzie.
Yes, I'm on the COVID app, and there's also other apps which are showing that Stratford is going up, but certainly the surrounding area is going up dramatically and quite quickly. And I think we've got a lot of statistical evidence there which would back up the idea that it should be closed. And of course, it's well known that the people who are spreading it are young people. We can already see that in the schools, that there are some of the older pupils are coming down with the COVID virus. So I think there's plenty of, you know, sort of medical evidence there which you can use to put behind the reasoning for having it cancelled completely.
Councillor Warren has something.
Thanks, Chair. Sorry, did you ask me? I didn't have my hand up, but I will make a comment. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally agreeing with whatever you said. I just don't think it should go ahead at all. I mean, the R rate is going up tremendously. I mean, is there no way? I mean, I understand Town Clerk's just said the fact that spoken to the district council and they're not really in agreement with it, particularly themselves, or worried about it. Is there no way? I mean, I know that so many people have difficulty in differentiating between the town council and the district council. And so many people are saying to me, you know, why are you letting it go ahead? Why are you letting it go ahead? So, well, you know, we're not the district council. Is there no way we can, I don't want to be contentious, is there no way we could write maybe something in the Herald or something to say the fact we're not in agreement with it? I don't know, maybe that's wrong. I have no idea. Just to reiterate, I'm not in agreement with going ahead at all.
Thank you. Before I bring Councillor Curtis in again, I am under the impression that if it were to go ahead, it is a decision made by the district council. And I am also hoping that at that stage, if it does go ahead, the town council do make a statement that we are against it. But I defer to the town clerk here. Firstly, are we going to write an official letter to the leader of the district council by the end of this week? I believe the decision is possibly going to be made by the end of this week. Do we want an official letter from the town clerk on behalf of the town council, or do we wait?
By all means, I can write and reiterate what I said on Monday. But I mean, you know, at the end of the day, your town clerk and your mayor went to see the leader to actually give our protestation about it. They're in no uncertain terms that they know we are against it, as does Richard Howarth. I think he knows the same. Personally, I think we need to wait for the end of this week before we act. And if it goes ahead, then I would recommend that the town council make a very strong statement that we do not agree with it. But
I personally agree with that stance. Councillor Curtis and then Councillor Alcock.
Sorry, thanks, Madam Chair. One other specific thing which I have tried to get information about, and in my district council hat role, is information about the noise levels, because that is one thing that I haven't seen addressed anywhere thus far. And I did get not a terribly helpful email back saying that the noise would be generated by the machinery, people laughing, and the music, which, yes, that is how the noise is generated. And I mean, I know because I used to work in the centre of town, and when the mop was on, the noise levels were so high, it was impossible to work in the town centre. So that specifically hasn't been addressed. My other concern, though, and I'm afraid I find myself in disagreement with the town clerk here, is my view is that we should send a letter to the district council and the county council expressing our concerns, or expressing the town council's concerns, and that forms the basis of a press release which goes to the Herald. And I think that should go out, really. It's probably too late to agree the text for that, but I think it's not just about expressing our concerns to the to the district council and county council, but it's about public perception as well. And I think there will be probably more letters in the Herald this week. There was the statement by the editor of the Herald last week, and the town council will appear to be sitting on its hands doing nothing. And personally, I don't find that a very satisfactory position. I appreciate that the decision is out of our hands, but I do think this is an issue where the public will look to the town council for what our position is. So That's my considered thoughts anyway.
Okay, Councillor Alcock and then Councillor Fradgley.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I completely take on the points that Councillor Curtis is making, but ultimately it's not down to our town clerk to ensure that our residents are aware of whether it's our decision or not. That is more down to us as councillors to communicate that to our residents ourselves. We all have social media pages. We all have times that we can speak to our residents. As the town clerk said, the meeting's already happened between the town clerk and the mayor, so the district council are aware. Writing again just seems to me a sort of sticky tape and string on a parcel currently. I do think that delaying until the official result comes out, but in this meeting giving pre-approval to our town clerk and to our civic officer, that if the decision that is announced at the end of the week, beginning of next week, is not to our satisfaction, then we've already given pre-approval for a letter to be sent. Yes, there are letters going in the Herald, so we could all write one, and we could all say, as town councillors, we have expressed our concern. We can do that. It's not really warranting a statement to the Herald at this current time, because informing the residents about what is a town council decision and what is a district council decision is something that we can explain to our residents ourselves.
Councillor Fradgley.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, because I do think a joint statement, providing everybody agrees with it, because we do have 18 councillors, and I don't know at this point of time if all 18 would actually put their name to such a statement. So that would have to be checked out. All I really wanted to say was it's not really the county council. I know Warwick District Council are also very anxious to try and find a way to prevent the fair from going to Warwick as well. So it is not just Stratford District, it is Warwick District as well. And I'm not sure, somebody could verify it. Hasn't Henley actually prevented it from going to,
I believe so, and it was
Henley
done by their court fleet.
Henley and Ulster have cancelled.
They
Yeah.
cancelled it via their court fleet, which apparently they can do.
Yeah.
Well, we used to be a court fleet. We stopped being that whenever it was. I think there is some merit, if the town council were minded, to making a statement beforehand that we do not wish this to go ahead just this year. We're in full support of the MOP in its historic form, but for this year, there are too many problems.
May I also add to any statement that is made that if the district council do cancel and the MOP is cancelled, then we equally make a statement to say that we are pleased that this has been cancelled. You know, I mean, we've got to have both ready and prepped. So, Councillor Curtis, I think what you're saying, and I think this, I've watched heads nodding, is that you'd like the town clerk to, if you like, put pen to paper reiterating the meeting held on Monday between the mayor and the town clerk. Is that the feeling of this group? I mean, there's two issues here. We need to make a statement also ready for the press if the MOP is going, if the MOP goes ahead and if the MOP is cancelled. So is that the feeling of the group, that you'd like the town clerk to write a letter to the district council leader tomorrow before any decision's made? Can I have, I mean, is that what you would like?
That can only be a recommendation, though, I'm afraid, because you don't have the power, because, as Councillor Fradgley said, there are more councillors that are not at this meeting. And does everybody agree? I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I really don't.
Can I have some guidance how we get around this situation then from the civic officer or from the town clerk? How we get around this situation, please?
I actually, using my delegated responsibility, I think that just as in my role as proper officer, I can actually follow up my meeting with leader of the district council to just say, as you are aware, Councillor Jefferson, during that meeting, we put forward and we still stand by that. Rather than saying, oh, let's go have a poll, etc., etc. I mean, from what I can see on various emails and chat forums, etc., the town council is very anti the MOP going ahead. And I made that very clear on Monday. And I can just follow that up with just to say, as we discussed, the town council remains concerned. We still haven't heard anything. So, we are dead against.
Yeah.
For this year only. Hopefully next year we will be back to normal. And we would then welcome them up, as we have done every.
Well, are we happy for that to happen? I don't see any no's there. So thank you, Town Clerk. I think we'd appreciate that. I think we now have to talk about a statement ready for both eventualities, for whether the MOP goes ahead or whether the MOP is cancelled. Now, are we happy to leave that statement to the Town Clerk, and will it come from the Town Council or from the Mayor on behalf of the Town Council? Again, we have a problem here because we are not all here. So I need some guidance about any statement that's made, please.
The statement would need to come from me.
Okay. Are we happy amongst this group that the statement comes from the Town Clerk? And again, both ways,
On behalf of the council.
On behalf of the council. Again, we are saddened that it's going ahead, and we are delighted that it's not going ahead, or something like that. Councillor Alcock.
Again, are we in the situation where we need all 18 councillors to agree?
No, it would be a press release in so much as there literally would be two statements ready, one saying we concur and with the MOP not going ahead, or we are appalled that it is due to health and safety reasons, etc.
Yeah, fine.
It's a press release. That's what I do.
Yeah, you do it very well, Sarah.
Absolutely. Councillor Curtis.
I do have concerns about the sort of the timeline of this, if you like, and the lack of direction, leadership, whatever we would call it, to the general public. It seems to me that waiting for an announcement is the wrong way round. I think we should be coming to a position, whether it's for or against, and lobbying for that position and making it quite clear to the general public what our position is. I personally, I may well be in a minority here, I accept that, but I think that waiting for the decision to be made and then reacting is letting, if you like, I think we're sort of rather abrogating our responsibility as civic leaders, if you like. That sounds terribly grand, but I think we should be coming to a decision, making that decision. If we don't feel it's the right thing, I absolutely understand. I quite understand that we are not in a position to ban it. I know that, but I think it's sort of following rather than leading. And I think if we don't lobby, the town council's views will be increasingly ignored by those decision makers at higher level authorities.
Councillor Curtis, can I just answer that, if I may? I think we just agreed that we aren't going to wait for the decision to be made, and that the Town Clerk will be writing to the leader of the district council, reiterating the points made at her meeting with the mayor. That will be done tomorrow.
I'm sorry, my apologies then. I misunderstood that, Madam Chairman. Thank you very much.
Be waiting. The town clerk will do that tomorrow, hopefully, in her delegated role on behalf of the council.
And then there'll be a subsequent press release.
Yeah.
Yes.
My
So
apologies.
that's
Thank you
what
for
we'll
that
do. And as the town clerk mentioned, not only did the district council know our views, we know our views, but also the Herald know our views. They're very clear about our views. So the agreement of this meeting is that the town clerk writes to the leader of the district council tomorrow, just putting down the ball points of the meeting and the feeling of the town council, and has ready 2 statements for when the decision is made. And those statements will go to the press. Do we have any other comments on this? And are we happy with that as a way forward? I am perfectly happy. I'm happy to listen to any other comments if you are not happy. Thank you. So I think that's agreed. Do we need to formalise that in any way, Civic Officer, or it's part of this meeting?
Charles can minute that accordingly, and I will action it tomorrow. And would you now please accept my apologies? I must leave the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Town Clerk. I appreciate you attending. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Really, that was a good debate. There is 7.7. It is just to note the wonderful, wonderful past mayor, Dr. Geoffrey Lees, and to just say what a pleasure it was for me to be part of the Guard of Honour for Dr. Lees. He was a wonderful, wonderful man. I think, Civic Officer, is that all? It is just simply for noting that we did that. Thank you very much. And I think it was a lovely moment, a very, very lovely moment. Now we are going back to 7.2, which is in confidential, as you know, so we must stop recording, please, if that's possible. Do we know how to do that?